Hey everybody, welcome back and thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch Hello Good Game. The Kaldheim pre-release event just ended. Jimmy playing the air guitar there, right? I loved it. Not as big as the other ones have been, but during COVID and restrictions, it's like, why go that big? Just get it done, right? And it was still a lot of fun. We had the medal, which I thought was really cool, but at a certain point, the medal stopped, and we had like some Mario theme music or like Pokemon theme music going on for a little bit, and then the medal picked up again. It was a little awkward, super metal based, and then just goes like into Teletubby zone, and then back to metal to close it out. So good times, a great laugh for me and everybody who watched live with me. We've got new cards revealed, though, and that's what this video is about. We're talking about the newest Kaldheim cards that have just been revealed, giving our thoughts and opinions on them. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Of course, if you do find any value within this video, I encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel to all of your friends because it really does help the channel. Getting into it, one of the most broken cards that we've seen showcased, and as soon as I seen this, I was like, oh my god, don't tell CGB. Do not show him this card. And pardon my pronunciation as we work through this. This is my first run. Alrund's Epiphany for 7. This is a mythic sorcery to create 2 1/1 blue bird creature tokens with flying. Take an extra turn after this one, and then exile Alrund's Epiphany. It does have foretell, which means during your turn, we pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down, casting it at a later turn for its foretell cost, which in this case is 6. So we are getting a cost reduction in it, which is quite nice. I believe my arena just finished uploading, which is great. But we see Nexus of Fate, right? It didn't get exiled, right? Which was great. And then we've seen Discognuity, which was similar to this. And now we're seeing more blue cards that are oriented around, taking that extra turn, which is really, really, really good. There's one thing about taking extra turn on turn 2, that's great. But when you are fully loaded and taking an extra turn with 7 mana in the holster to obviously cast the spell, you're going to be able to do a couple of things with that second turn, right? Not just playing a land and passing. So, Alrund's Epiphany, in my opinion, it's super expensive. It costs 7. We can cast it for 6 with the foretell. Really, it does equal to be 8, though, right? Because the 2 foretell and then the 6 to get it going, right? So, you are able to split that mana up between 2 turns, which is helpful. But it does cost a little bit more. And, it is sorcery speed, so it needs to be cast on your turn. But again, this is really great if you have even extra mana and, maybe you pay the foretell for 2, put it face down, now you're still curving out with even more mana. You've got Seagate Stormcaller, right? Now you're taking 2 extra turns. Say what? So there's going to be a lot of really cool things that we can do with Alrund's Epiphany, in my opinion, and I'm sure many of them are going to come out that I've not even considered yet, because, again, this is seconds after that event has ended. Next up, Sarulf's Packmate. This is a 3/3. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Decent. It costs 4 mana, though, so, it better do something when it enters the battlefield. This is really good for anything that's flashing creatures. Hashtag Yorion. Excuse me. It also has the foretell. I get all choked up just by saying the name. Don't say it 3 times or CGB will pop up behind me. It's got foretell for 2, and then, allowing us to cast it again from the face down exile, which is pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going to be honest, when you're playing things face down, and I've not played since I was a child, but I remember them playing things face down, and then it's like you flip it, and it's like, ah ha ha! So, let's be careful which waters we tread upon. But nonetheless, it's cool, and I'm really excited to experiment with it. Next up, Varragoth Bloodsky. This is super duper broken. This is really good value. It's a 3 CMC, 2/3 with Death Touch. That's just general value there. It has a boast for 2. Target player searches their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. Boast requires you to attack, so activate this ability only if this creature attacked this turn, and only once each turn. So, it attacks. Your opponent doesn't want to defend because it has Death Touch, but they also don't want to allow you to keep this creature on the battlefield, right? They have to remove it. So even if it attacks and it doesn't get the kill, even if it attacks and it doesn't deal any damage to the opponent, it just needs to have attacked that turn. And then you can pay the 2 mana, search your library for any card that you want, a tutor that you're not paying life for. All you're having to do is pay 2 extra mana for the boast. So, this is really, really good in so many ways. Even think of like some of the things that you could pull. If you needed spot removal, it now allows you to run a utility based deck where it's like, okay, I know I have tutors, so I don't have to run 4 of a kind for consistency's sake. I can run, 1 extinction event, right? Now I don't have to run 4 of them. And then whenever I know that I need it, things are getting out of control, I can just tutor or boast for it, grab it to the top. Same thing's going for demonic embrace, right? And any removal that you may want as well. So, the bloodsky sire is a rogue as well, I want to mention. It is a demon, so we do have things like the Lyra Dawnbringer that has protection from demons. And we are seeing resurgence of angels coming back into the tribal fold as well. So, it's good, but it's going to have those really awkward situations. I don't know if we are really allowed to let a rogue deck tutor, right? Like, if they can pull a counter every turn, that sucks. Like, if they get to attack and pull it down in the lock, stop you, attack, pull it down in the lock, stop you, attack, pull it down in the lock. So these are just some weird ideas that are coming about as we begin to discover these cards, and more of those will come, and we're going to showcase a bunch of really cool decks, obviously, on the pre-release for you guys, and then, of course, 2 decks a day is how we do, so there'll be no lack of original content for you guys once these cards do drop. Frostbite. Now, I was actually really surprised on this. It's a snow instant, which is cool for 1, dealing 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you control 3 or more snow permanents, it deals 3 damage instead. I actually think this is a little bit of a limited card, right? Instant speed, cool. 2 damage to target or creature or planeswalker, sure, not bad. Maybe good for sideboarding. Basically just a shock that can't target the opponent. Not that great, right? And then, if you control the snow permanents, it gets a little bit better to try to mitigate that. But I don't know how important that will be because, what if you come into a control matchup and now, they don't have any planeswalkers or creatures for you to hit. Chances are they might have a planeswalker, so it's not bad, but I feel like it's a little bit awkward, right? How often does a burn deck just want to focus damage on creatures or planeswalkers? They really want to have the utility or the option to send that damage wherever they want. So, it's cool. It's a common. So, you're going to be seeing this in your draft packs a lot. So it could be really good there, I think. Moving forward, Binding the Old Gods. This is a 4 CMC enchantment saga. As the saga enters the battlefield, it triggers, and then on each of our draw step, we'll add a lore counter and move on to the next one, right? So when it enters, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls. That's really good, right? So destroy anything for 4, sure. Whether it's a planeswalker, a creature, another enchantment, an artifact, we just get to destroy anything that's a non-land. It is at sorcery speed, obviously, because it's an enchantment, so you can only play it on your main phases. Next up, after you draw, search your library for a forest card, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. This is nice because it basically mitigates the casting cost of it because it's a 4 CMC, but because it allows you to ramp, you can basically take it down to 3 in your mind as far as late game value goes. And it's one of those things where I call the slingshot effect, where you sacrifice right now, but you gain it back later. So that's quite nice. And then finally, creatures you control gain Death Touch until the end of turn, which isn't bad. It's great. It basically allows you to attack and either clear the field or get some damage in. It is a 4-drop, so you're going to have hopefully a full field of creatures by then. So it's a little bit awkward on that last trigger because it's easy for your opponent to lace in an extinction event to shatter the sky, and then you have no creatures to give Death Touch to. So that part is a little bit awkward, but, being able to destroy something, that's good. And then being able to grab a land on top of that, that's very good. So it kind of makes it worthwhile, even though the last phase there of giving creatures you control Death Touch is pretty easy to shut down. So I think that is still worth it overall. Next up, this is a scary creature as well. Odin is in the house. Alrund, God of the Cosmos, and Haka, Whispering Raven. A 2/3 with flying. Whenever the Raven deals combat damage to a player, return it to its owner's hand, and then scry 2. The scry is great. And then on the opposing side, because it is an MDFC, Alrund gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand and for each foretold card you own in exile. So, you know, we're seeing maybe some form of foretold control coming into play, which is quite nice. I thought we were going to have to wait till Strixhaven, but it looks like we're getting some toys early, boys. And at the beginning of your end step, choose a card type, then reveal the top 2 cards of your library. Put all the cards of the chosen type into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Whether you're taking instants, sorceries, I think you could even take lands as well, right? A land is a card type. So really cool stuff as far as the God of the Cosmos goes. That draw effect is pretty good, right? It's a little expensive, but again, we've got the Raven, right? And so what's really cool about the Raven's ability here, typically you'd say, well, I don't want the Raven to return to my hand. But you do, because you want to use the Raven anytime you can. You're scrying, you're getting the cards you want. You're looking for the card that gives you an extra turn. And then, you know, Raven back to your hand, and now you play the God of the Cosmos as soon as you have mana, right? So you can play it as 2, you play it as 2, you play it as 2. Oh, I've got 5 mana now. Here comes Big Daddy Odin in the house, Alrund, God of the Cosmos, and throws down, right? It's really good, allows you to draw. So this is going to go in the control decks as far as I'm concerned. That looks great. Elvish Warmaster. This is a 2 CMC rare elf warrior. So, you know, it fills the elf role. It fills the party role with warrior. Whenever one or more elves enter the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. So that's kind of a downer there. However, you know, you can trigger it on your turn. You can trigger it on your opponent's turn. So you do get 2 triggers out of it. You can pay 7. Elves you control get +2/+2 and gain Death Touch until the end of turn. So, you know, for the elf boys out there, a little bit of sauce for them. Masked Vandal. This is a shapeshifter. We already seen it. It's a 1/3 changeling. Whenever the Vandal enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, the exile target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls too. Wait a minute. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, exile target artifact or enchantment and opponent controls. Maybe we didn't see this. I might have been thinking of something else. Really, for 2. And it's not until it leaves the battlefield. When Masked Vandal enters the battlefield, you may exile target creature card from your graveyard. If you do, exile target artifact or enchantment and opponent controls. That's a common? Wow. I'm sorry, artifact decks. I'm sorry, enchantment decks. You just got boned, baby. That's an ETB effect that exiles permanently. Wow. It's a good thing it's just artifacts or enchantments, but Yorion is gonna love you. Old Growth Troll for 3. Look at that devotion. Oh my gosh. A 4/4 with trample. When Old Growth Troll dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment with Enchant Forest you control. An Enchanted Forest has tap to add 2 mana and pay 1 tap to sacrifice this land. Create a 4/4 tapped green troll warrior creature with trample. Interesting. So it's a 4/4 with trample that enchants your land to make your lands better, and which you can sacrifice to bring back a token that's basically the same. All for 3 mana. That's not that bad. That's like really good. I like that it's 3 green mana though, so it's like going to be harder for Gruul to play because that's a nice Gruul creature. So it's nice that mono green is going to be restricted to playing that only probably. Koll the Forge Master. This is a 2/2 dwarf warrior. Whenever a non-token creature enters, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, if it wasn't enchanted or equipped, return it to its owner's hand. Equipped tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped have +1/+1. Sorry, I've not eaten yet today. I should eat. LOL. Moving past this, you know, I think that's pretty good for an uncommon. It costs 2. It's a 2/2. It can buff tokens up, which is good, and it fills a party role. So we might have dwarf party, right? And the art here looks really cool. Like you can see the different gods. Like we see what was his name? I want to call him Odin. Alrund here with the one eye and the ravens and these other guys as well. Anyways, Inga Rune Eyes. This is a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, scry 3. When it dies, draw 3 cards if 3 or more creatures died this turn. Having 3 creatures die in a turn is unlikely. The scry 3 when it enters is nice though, but it is quite expensive at 4. Tibalt, Cosmic Impostor for 7, a 5/5, and as Tibalt enters the battlefield, you get an emblem with you may play cards exiled with Tibalt, Cosmic Impostor, and you may spend mana as though it were any mana of any color to cast those spells. +2, exile top card of your library, of each player's library, sorry, and then -3, exile target artifact or creature, which is not bad. That's pretty cool. And -8, exile all cards from all graveyards and add 3 mana, which is super duper awkward, but I guess it does make sense because you can replay them. Not too shabby. I like it, and what's really cool, it's an MDFC, and on the opposing side is a Valky, God of Lies. So Tibalt is kind of like the dual-faced god here, which is pretty cool. So one's a god, one's a planeswalker. The god is a 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card revealed this way until it leaves the battlefield. That's not that bad, right? That's pretty cool. You know, it's going to be prone to removal, but like free sale booter, free boot sailor. Oh my gosh, you know, the 1/2 flyer that grabs a card. It's still worth it, and it's probably a pretty decent sideboard card. And you know, if you know they have removal easily, then you don't play it. Then you just go for your Tibalt. But if you know that it's gonna, you know, help you out, then having that option is quite nice. We also can pay X at instant speed to choose a creature card, exiled with it, and it becomes a copy of that card. So, you know, if you do get a stronger card exiled, which is quite nice, like maybe you take this thing for 3, you can have it become a 4/4 for 3, and now it's kind of getting away from the removal and being so flimsy a little bit, but still probably pretty high priority at that. Moving on, Niko Aris. This is a 3 loyalty planeswalker. When it enters the battlefield, create X shards. So it costs 3 plus X. You know, another Azorius card, so don't tell CGB. +1, up to 1 target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Whenever that creature deals damage this turn, return it to its owner's hand. You know, that's not bad. So it's a similar thing that we see in the Alrund Raven do, where whenever it deals damage, we get to bounce it back to our own hand. So that's just going to basically be a universal effect, which is quite nice. So, you know, it can't block or can't be blocked, which is great. And then, you know, it's coming back to our hand, so it's protected from any removal. And then if there was an enter the battlefield effect, we can capitalize on that again. -1, Niko Aris deals 2 damage to target tapped creature for each card you've drawn this turn. Interesting. So it's not a draw for -1. It's got nothing to do with that, which is awkward. So you do have to be drawing independently from Niko Aris. -1, create a shard token. And did it reference these shard tokens in any way? What do we utilize these shards? Oh, the shards we can sacrifice for 2 mana to scry 1 and draw a card. I see. Okay, so you can bring shards in. When it enters play, you can make your stuff unblockable, like we talked about with the +1, and then the -1 we can use when we're sacrificing the shards. Scry 1, draw a card for 2 mana, and then a -1, which is not that bad. And you can stack that damage, which is not so bad either. But it does have to be tapped. And then, of course, -1 to create a shard token. That's interesting. That's like, it's pretty good, but I think you're going to need a lot of control. It's only a 3 loyalty planeswalker, no matter how many mana you sink into it as well. But I don't think you need Ares in play to be sacrificing the shard tokens. So, you know, you can play it for a bunch of mana. You know, maybe you create 3 or 4 shard tokens, and then those are going to be in play for you for the rest of the game, which is pretty nice. Moving on, Ice Tunnel. You know, we got some dual snow lands, so, you know, the snow is going to be helpful for some of these cards, and that is that. Blood on the Snow for 6, I think, is our last card today. Choose 1, destroy all creatures, destroy all planeswalkers, then return a creature or planeswalker card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of snow cast to cost the spell. And again, these are said permanents that will produce the snow for us. Decent. It's expensive. Sorcery speed sucks. Destroy all creatures. Destroy all planeswalkers. It should be destroy all permanents, but that's fine. So with that being said, we did have some old ones that we can talk about really quick that you may be unaware of. Invasion of the Giants. This was Amazonian's leak, which is really cool. And I think this is good value. So it costs 2. We get to scry 2. Then we get to draw a card, and we get to reveal a giant. If we do, we get to deal 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. And then giants that we cast are 2 less to cast. So, the 2 mana that we're paying to cast the spell is immediately returned to us on the 3rd phase. So it's like free, right? That's crazy. Plus we get to deal 2 damage. That's a Bone Crusher Giant Stomp for 2, basically, for free. Plus it's got a draw, which is, part of an opt. And we scry 2. So this is like an Omen of the Sea for the scry 2 and draw. It's like a Bone Crusher Giant, and then it's mana reduction. Or no, and then it's free. So for 0 mana, you get to Omen of the Sea and Bone Crusher Giant, basically. For 0 mana, you get to cast what would typically run you 4 mana to do. Let that sink in. That value, baby. That's so good. And then Rise of the Dreadmarn for 3, an instant speed trade X 2/2 black zombie berserker creature tokens, where X is the number of non-token creatures that died this turn. Nice. Foretell for 1. So we pay 2, exile it face down, and then at any point we can pay 1 at instant speed to flip it and trigger it, which is not that bad. Pretty groovy. And then Calamity Bear, we talked about this in our giant videos, and we covered everything else here on out earlier as well. If you guys are unfamiliar, we'll run through these really quick. Sidrid, God of the Favored for 3, a 2/2 with flash, first strike, protection from god creatures. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target attacking or blocking creature until it leaves the battlefield. This means your opponent attacks you with 2 creatures. You flash it in, you exile one of them, and then you block the other because it's got first strike, which is so sick, right? Very, very good value here. And I'm going to be playing this beside Skyclave Apparition for sure. The Resplendent Marshal is just as broken. This is a mythic, a 3/3 with flying, an angel. Both are warriors. When Resplendent Angel enters the battlefield or dies, you may exile another creature card from your graveyard. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control other than Resplendent Marshal that shares a creature type with the exiled card. So, whenever it enters the battlefield or dies, it can be bounced, right? So it's great. You're going to be flooding the field with +1/+1s from your Angel Tribal. And then Runeforge Champion for 3 as a Dwarf Warrior. A 2/3, when the champion enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a rune card, reveal it, then put it into your hand. If you search your library, this way, shuffle it. So, that's kind of good. Sometimes Murderous Rider goes to the bottom of the library, and now you can reshuffle it to the top or something like this. You may pay 1 rather than pay the mana cost for rune spells you cast. I don't think we've seen any rune spells yet, however. Dragonkin Berserker, a 2/2 with first strike. Boast abilities you activate costs 1 less to activate for each dragon you control. Boast for 5, so you do have to attack before you boast, and we can create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Activate this ability only if a creature attacked this turn, and only once per turn. So, that's decent. With that out of the way, we've got a Lotus Bloom. I don't think that's for anything. That's for Time Spiral Remastered, and then a little bit more Kaldheim here. Battle Mammoth, if we've not seen it, a 6/5 with Trample. Whenever a permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. That's not that bad. That's pretty cool. So they have to hit it with Shadow of the Sky, with Extinction Event, non-targeted removal. Sacrifice, so we're talking about Soul Shatter. We're talking about Doom Foretold, right? Lots of answers for it still. Foretell for 2, so we're paying 2, and then we can foretell it for 2. So it does, again, spread the mana out over 2 turns, costing 1 more in total, but 1 less on that second turn. So, it's a kind of a trade-off. And then again, face down, and then we can flip it later. Not so shabby. I guess we have Righteous Valkyrie. I've not seen this yet either. This is a 2/4 for 3 with flying. Whenever another Angel Cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Oh my god. That will push you to 27 quite quickly, won't it? And as long as you have at least 7 or more life than your starting total, creatures you control get +2/+2. Stop it. That is too much. The Bloody Massacre, the Bloodsky Massacre, I should say, for 3 Saga. So again, when it enters the battlefield, it triggers, and then after our draw step on the following upkeeps. So first off, create a 2/3 red Demon Berserker creature token with Menace. That's all right. Next up, whenever a Berserker attacks this turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life. That's pretty good, considering we just made one. And finally, add 1 mana for each Berserker you control until the end of turn. You don't lose mana as these steps and phases. And this is going to be a very nice card to stack. Much like we had a history of Benalia long ago as an enchantment that we would stack multiple copies of. this is going to be nice, right? If we can be stacking these each turn and have these effects be triggering residually with multiple copies, that's quite nice. We've seen the squirrel, you guys. You know, the spell can't be countered. It's a 1/1 with indestructible. Whenever it attacks, it attacks each combat if able, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. The rest we've seen, the rest we've gone through with you guys in the last video. So if you're interested in that, check it out. You know, lots of really cool stuff and some old cards. So if you've not seen the rest of the spoilers, check out the first video. This was our update number 2 after January 7th event. It just ended, and we've seen a ton of really, really cool cards being pushed out to everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did find any value or entertainment within this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel to all of your friends, and support financially if you can afford to do so. Most importantly, enjoy your day, and maybe check out the next video, right?